The goal of the Governor's Office of Highway Safety during this month is to make drivers aware, to have them to slow down and pay attention to the roads, because the increase in pedestrian deaths in our nation and in our state for the last 2 years must go down. Many people do not realize that we are all pedestrians virtually every day of our lives, including those that drive. Georgia has had more than 300 pedestrians killed in 21 and 22. Those numbers are too high. That's almost 100% increase over the last 10 years. There are several reasons for this increase, but two of the biggest are speeding and distracted driving. Speed limits are put in place to protect everyone on our roadways, including drivers as well as pedestrians and bicyclists. Safe speed is one of the 5 principles of the U.S. Department of Transportation Safe System approach, along with safer people, safer roads, safer vehicles, and improved post-care crash. When a mistake behind the wheel happens, the hope is that crashes can be avoided because drivers are traveling at a safer speed with complete attention on the roads. We should always be prepared to stop when we are approaching a school zone, a work zone, or a vehicle that's parked on the side of the road because of a malfunction or equipment issue. Keeping your eyes on the road and not on your phone will help us in this adventure. More than 80% of the fatalities in Georgia happens at night. With fall and winter fast approaching, daylight hours are being cut shorter, and we ask that you pay attention to these changes. Pedestrians are our most vulnerable road users, and we're asking every driver to help us to protect our pedestrians and cyclists on the road.
We have to change the way we approach traffic safety and change the culture that accepts tens and thousands of deaths on our roadways year after year. NHTSA and the U.S. Department of Transportation is doing this by embracing the safe system approach. The safe system approach is people-focused, meaning that infrastructure serves users' needs, not the other way around. It considers the needs of everyone on the roadway, not just drivers and passengers, but pedestrians, cyclists, children, older Americans, and people with disabilities. It focuses on the 5 key principles: safer people, safer roads, safer vehicles, safer speeds, and post-crash care. All these principles must work together for our transportation system to be safe for everyone. We need to ensure the importance of driver attentiveness to keep pedestrians safe.
VRU safety is on all of us, not just because you're a driver or you're a walker. At some point, we're all pedestrians, either walking to our car, walking to a transit station, or walking to back home. Moving forward, the Georgia Department of Transportation is committed on pedestrian safety by putting together our first vulnerable roadway user assessment, by putting together our first rural active transportation plan that focuses on VRU and pedestrian safety in our more rural counties in the state, and continue pushing forward many of our VRU focused projects that are currently under design and under construction. Our dollar values in terms of what we're spending at the Georgia Department of Transportation for vulnerable roadway user or pedestrian safety at our all-time high. So just to leave off, in terms of the risks that we're seeing when we analyze all the crash reports within our engineering section, high speed, dark conditions, DUI, risky behavior, distractedness, drowsy. If you're near schools, transit stops, areas with high social vulnerability, and more importantly, on our interstate system, if instead of getting out and trying to change your tire, especially dark at night, call Champ, call Hero. They'll come out and assist you. That'll be a much safer way to go about it.
Between 2015 and 2021, over 1,600 people were killed on the roadway while in a disabled vehicle. And I want to repeat that, over 1,600. These are people that for one reason or another, perhaps they had a flat tire, perhaps they ran out of gas, whatever reason it was, they were killed on the roadway. This is in addition to the number of providers or toll providers. This is happening far too often, and too many people are losing a brother, a sister, a son, a father because of these careless acts. Because of that, really, AAA is in support of the safe system approach, because embodied in those principles, specifically safer people, safer roads, and safer speeds, is the ability for every person, every roadway user to take ownership and realize that there are other people sharing the road with you. Their lives are important as well.
Good morning. On behalf of Sheriff Eric Levitt and the entire Rockdale County Sheriff's Office, we appreciate the opportunity to come and speak to you here today. Deputy Jenkins and I developed a close working relationship early on at College Park. I loved traffic enforcement early on in my career, and I was driven to becoming an expert at DUI after losing one of my close friends and mentors that got me into law enforcement to begin with. So when I met Jenkins, we hit it off. We had the same passion. And it didn't take long for him to pique my interest in learning the art and the science behind reconstructing crashes, how crashes happen. He was someone I could rely on when I needed some help, and there were plenty of times where I just could not figure out how the crash happened. But when he got there, it all made sense. He was an expert at it, and he was very good at it. We worked many pedestrian crashes just like the one that took his life. Jenkins was one of the officers who taught me how to ride a police motorcycle. And it was hard for me to trust my developing skills, but when he was beside me, when we rode together, it was like I'd been riding for years. It was like second nature, because I was comfortable with him, and it was weird when we weren't together. Over the years, we became very close friends. I spent more time with him than I did my own family. Jenkins loved SWAT, and after I joined the SWAT team, we worked side by side. And SWAT's foundation is all about the team, because you're trusting your fellow SWAT officer to have your back. And that's exactly what Jenkins did. He had my back. When we got to Rockdale, the job of riding motors was, in my opinion, the best job as a cop. Not just because you got paid to ride a motorcycle all day, but it was because I was riding with my best friend. I was riding with my riding partner. From working crashes to DUIs to riding motors and working SWAT together, we formed a bond that I will never be able to replace. He was welcomed by my family, and my own son called him Uncle Jenkins. Where you saw Jenkins, you saw me, on and off the job. And one thing I'll always remember is his big smile, his big personality. He never met a stranger, and he had a knack of breaking the ice in awkward situations with anybody. Once you had a chance to talk with Jenkins, your bad day just wasn't that bad at all. Jenkins left behind 2 sons, 1 daughter, 2 sisters, his mother, and countless friends and colleagues. It's been a rough year and a half. The police memorial where he was put on the wall was an unforgettable moment. And to this day, our office still receives letters and sympathy cards, so the loss remains fresh. But we try to make the best of it by having events in his honor and in his name, because that's what he would want us to do. It's the best way to keep his name alive and to keep his contribution to our profession fresh. I stopped calling them accidents because it takes an act for a crash to happen. It just doesn't just happen out of happenstance. The message from these tragedies should be all drivers, especially young and inexperienced drivers, have to pay attention and slow down. Despite all the technology in the cars today, it still takes a focused driver behind the wheel, constantly looking in all directions. This was yet another crash that could have been avoided. Jenkins was truly a one-of-a-kind, and I miss him every day. But I know where he is because we shared the same faith in God. I feel he watches over me, and my determination to make him proud is the driving force for me moving on. Thank you.
Let me share a few names with you. Glenn Ewing.
22, Deputy Walter Jenkins of the Rockdale County Sheriff's Office was struck and killed while during 26 years of experience and began serving with the Rockdale County Sheriff's Office, the Department of Transportation, and today representing the Georgia Department of Transportation.
Thank you.
Today, as well as your and Deputy Jenkins' service to all
of us.